Hello, everyone. A very good evening to all of you. Welcome to Season of Agents, a virtual event dedicated to exploring the dynamic world of intelligent agents, automation, and the future of AI powered productivity. Today, we are delighted to have Mr. Om Kumar, who is an associate data scientist at Aptitude and who will be taking us on this journey of AI agents. So, without any further ado, let's welcome Sir and let's move to this journey.
Hi, thank you guys, thank you Reskill for providing me this opportunity. Thank you Microsoft, Azure community. So let's start. I think uh, uh, the topic for the session is one prompt, many possibilities, agent magic with Azure AI. So let me give you a quick introduction about myself. So, my name is Om Kumar. I'm a associate data scientist working in Aptitude, which is a data consultancy firm. I have more than 3 years of experience building RAG-based agents, AI agents, fuzzy matching, solving some fuzzy matching use case, OCR using multimodal LLMs, text to image generation, and text to SQL. Building app with LLMs are very astonishing power and simplicity. So in this session, we'll explore building blocks for single and multi-agent scenarios. My goal for this session is that to leave you guys with understanding of the core concepts of agents, and you will be able to leverage Azure AI effectively for your own work. Now, since you might have been hearing about automation a lot, so there could be many ways where we can use automation. One could be using forms and conditional logic. Other could be low code workflow automation, could be Microsoft low code solutions like Power Apps and uh, RPA. So RPA, you might have heard about UiPath or Power Automate Flow. So these are some kind of automation tools, but the technology has been far from perfect because ideally all of those works on rules and conditions, and uh, it can't be used in a real world scenario. So unlike previous tools, AI agent can reason, act, and learn. Agents can automate the previously unautomatable things. So like you can think of a sales call agent where it can listen to your conversation and act and give you a transcription. It can also do reasoning based on certain conditions which you would provide. You can think of that it has memory, so it can learn over time. So whenever you want to try picking up a solution using agents, it's easy to get started. We just want to improve certain existing process. So there would be some process where there would be some manual work which might be required, some repetitive work which might be required. So think of it like a Q&A. So RAG works very well in a Q&A agents. Think of it like a scenario where we want to draft email. So you can create an agent where you will give access to your Outlook, and based on your inbox it will draft you an email. There could be issue analysis. So issue analysis can be let's say you have certain three text columns. So using NLP, what you can do, you can analyze them or categorize them into certain buckets. Now there is also called root cause analysis. So something has happened and you want to see what was the root cause. So LLMs are very good. If you provide them the context, they will tell you what was the root cause of that. And since Gen AI is already there, so we can generate a document, we can create issues, UI testing, we can do data analysis and test creations. Let's go ahead. Yeah, so we'll be exploring the AI agents, core concepts, and talk about how we use them in real world scenario. So think of a use case where you are working on an e-commerce selling campaign equipment and you want to analyze sales data. So think of it, you are a sales manager at a company called Contoso, and their main goal is to sell outdoor equipment, and you need to analyze sales data to find trends and understand customer preferences and make informed decisions. So think of it like Contoso has already developed a conversational assistant that can answer your queries about sales data. So we'll be talking about this sales assistant in this demo, and this agent can answer your queries about sales data. It can generate charts. It can create Excel files for further analysis, and this will be all. This demo would be made purely in Azure. So we'll look through that. Now, what are agents? So agents are something which are semi-autonomous software that, when given a goal, can work to achieve that goal without you knowing in advance exactly how it's taking to do that. So think of it like this way: you must have read about agents in your BTech or maybe in your bachelor's of education. So agent senses an environment, and it acts on that environment and does some action to change the state, and this happens in a loop so that it performs the task. So this is the high level overview of like diagram of an agent. So agent is not like LLM. It has more capabilities for an LLM. So it can have access to tools. So think of tool as functions or uh, functions which helps you to do your task. So a tool could be a Google search tool or a Bing search tool which searches for your query. Then there could be other tool which fetches some data from the API, or it fetches the data from your database. So you can create your own tools or use already built tools in the agent, and it would require user messages, agent messages, and it outputs you the tool results. Now I have taken a reference of this Microsoft course, AI Agent Beginners. It is a good starter course to deep dive into AI agents. So here, if you see on top of it, we have large language model, and large language model perform actions. It has access to specific tools, and it has access to knowledge. So knowledge is basically a memory. So AI agents, you can think of it like they are systems which help you to perform certain actions by extending the capabilities and having access to your tools and knowledge. Let's go to the next slide. And when do we wanna use AI agents? So when these three conditions are met, so open-ended problems. So it is like when LLM needs to complete a task and you can't create a, a, a basic workflow, and you have multi-step process. So your tasks are complex, and you need multiple tools or informations, and you want to retrieve that information multiple times. So instead of simple RAG where we just retrieve re- use retrieval once, agents can do it multiple steps, and you want to improve over time. So a task where the agent can improve over time by receiving feedback from users. So in these cases, we would be using AI agents. Now, this is a basic example of tool use with agentic frameworks. So, person makes a request. Now, the request is forwarded to a serialized functions, and then those request is passed to a model processes the input, and in input we handle the parameters which might be used to do a function call, and then it handles the chat response, invokes the function, and then returns the result. Let's see that with a example. Now here if you see, so we have a tool created, get current time. So this is the tools object which we have created, which we will pass to open AI chat completions method. So we pass that function description as well. So we have passed the name of the function as get current time, and a basic description what this function does, and what this function needs to call it. So it needs a string, uh, which is a location, and we have passed the description of the location, which could be a city. So basic use of this function is to get the current time for a certain location. Now here we have called the function. So you can see we have passed in the chat completion API, we have passed the tool, and we have gotten a response. Now this is the actual function which we have declared. So it needs a location, and based on the time zone, it tells you the time. Now the thing what happens over here is that over here the function would be calling, like the LLM would be just calling the function. It won't do the action on your own. So you need to handle the action on your own. So what this code does is, after we get the response message over here, if you see, we are just checking if there were any tool calls, and if there was a tool call related to this get current time. So we get the arguments which we had already defined. So it we get the arguments, and then we get the location variable, and we run the function and pass it to the context. So here we are just appending the message, so that the LLM knows what tool it has called, and what was the history of that. So here if you see the chat.completion, we pass the response and we get the output as uh, San Francisco, and time zone found for San Francisco and the current time. And if you see, the user query was what's the current time in San Francisco. So in first call, what it does, it just calls the function, and it will extract the arguments, which is location over here, and you need to use that to call the function, and then append that into the messages, so that the LLM knows what tool call it has done. So this is like a basic simple uh, the- yeah, so this is like a basic simple uh, tool call which we are doing in the LLM. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Yeah, so what agents actually does, so agents accomplish three things. It reasons over a period provided business process, retrieves the context to complete the process, and it performs an action for the end user. So how it can actually help us in our use case, which we had already defined. So our use case was to analyze the sales data for a company called Contoso, So how would it actually help? Okay, so we'll be walking you through the demo. I have quickly recorded the session and wanna quickly tell you about Azure AI Agent Service, which is a platform where you can rapidly develop or create agents and use different open source models or closed source models. And this is our AI Foundry, which you can think of a agent factory. It has models, it has agent service, it has different Azure services, Azure AI search services, machine learning, content safety. You can use it uh, to rapidly or develop or deploy an agent. Yeah. So how does this sales assistant would work? Let's see. So we have Chainlit. Chainlit is helping us to quickly share or build chat-based Python GUI. And in agent service, we have instructions. So instructions would be something related to you are a sales agent, and models would be if you want to use open source model or if you want to use GPT-4o. Then here comes the tools. So tools, you can think of it like for this use case, we would need to use function calling. So in function calling, we would need the their sales data. So the sales data might be stored in our DB. So we'll be creating a function where it can fetch the data from the DB. Then there would be a code interpreter tool as well, because we want to show in the UI the different plots. So the code interpreter tool would be needed. And then there would be also file search tool, in which user can also upload uh, an extra data which they wanna refer. So this is how it looks like. So we create an agent, then we create a thread. So thread just stores our history of conversations. We run the agent, we check the status, we display the response. Now this is like a high level overview of how this agent would be created. So instructions, we talked about, like you are an advanced sales analysis agent for Contoso, specializing in assisting user with sales data inquiries. Think of it like a system prompt. Now models could be any models which are available in AI Foundry. So Mistral, GPT-4o, Llama. Now your data, so your data could be uh, any database which we want to use, or any retriever. Now here we have many tools, but we are just using file search, code interpreter, and function calling tools. Then we you have different other tools. So think of it tool as a API to use some certain service. So SharePoint has a tool, so you can use call the SharePoint API to get data from SharePoint, and other tools as well. Now thread is like a conversation history, where you see, tell me the total sales by region, and agent has given you an output, like this is the sales report. So this, you can think of it as a single thread. And then user has asked show as a pie chart, so it has displayed a pie chart using the code interpreter tool. So for this um, for this query, it's using uh, function calling, and for this query show as a pie chart, it's using code interpreter. You see, function calling tool, query SQLite DB, and then we create that message and show that. Show as a pie chart, we use the code interpreter tool, we create a pie chart and show that in the UI. Now we want to look about uh, deep dive into function calling. So the capability of LLM to take in user defined function as input and generate some structured outputs. So you in function calling, basically you would create a function. Think of it as a Python function. We had already seen get user weather. So it was a function which we had created, and we provided a definition that it accepts location as an input, and it will tell you the time of that location. So let's go to the next slide. So this is for our use case, how it would look like. So these are the instructions. So in instructions, we have also passed the metadata, or you can think of it like a data model for our database, which will help the LLM to write SQL queries specific to our data model. Now this is the function which we have created, which fetches sales data using the query, and it returns back the query to the output. So when we mention what were the sales for this for April 2023, it updates the query and adds the month as April and the year as 2023, and then runs this asynchronous function, and we get the output. Yeah, so these are the basic components of for agents. You would have models which could be open source or closed source models, could be GPT-4o, Llama, Mistral, and then instructions. Think of it instruction as a system prompt, some more context which you want to give to your model. Then threads are set of conversations, and then when a user sends a message, it invokes it uses a tools, and it invokes a function, and then uh, it responds back with the message. This is OpenAI Assistant API. So Azure OpenAI Assistant API, what different tools do we have in that? So we have function calling, code generation, file search, context management. Now in our use case, we were just using single agent. So it was a sales agent which had certain set access of tools. So tools were SQL database, then code interpreter, and some files if that is required. But uh, there could be also some problem where you want to use multi agents. So multi agents would be where you want to interact or create multiple agents which works simultaneously, and uh, which handles the task uh, on its own, and then uses those tasks as an output to the other. So think of it like we need our goal is to create, let's say, a new product for a company called Contoso. So you define two agents, one is copywriter and then one is art director. So one's job is to copy the content and the other is to generate the content. So both will work simultaneously, and you will get the response. So there are separate frameworks as well, which you can use. There is AutoGen, there is semantic kernel, then there are different third party agentic frameworks which are Agno and Crew AI, which you can use. Yeah, so our main takeaway is to do more with LLMs using function calling and take it to the next level with AI agent service to get function calling, code generation, file search, and more. Explore the frameworks like Azure AI Agent Service and AutoGen, and use UI or code to build your agent. Now let me show you a quick demo. Give me a second. Yeah, let me share this. Can you see the video?
Uh,
Hello.
the screen is not visible actually.
Okay, let me reshare.
Sure, sure.
Can you see the video now?
Yes, sir, it's visible now.
Okay. So yeah, just to save time, we have recorded the session, the demo. So how the actual sales agent would look like. So this is the final UI. So you'll get these four instructions. You ask for to create a pie chart by region, so it calls those function code interpreter, because code interpreter would be the tool which would help you to create a Python plotly chart over here, like a pie chart. And it's also using the function, think of it like a database get query function, where you are getting the total revenue for a certain period. So you also see the uh, arguments which are passed in the function, and also the code for creating the plot. You can also attach extra context to the uh, agent, so that it will take into account that context. Because for instance, this is just using the uh, sales data, and if we give more context, then we can get more uh, relevant response. It's asking about the sales for that specific tent. So it will figure out the query. So that's the power of function calling, where we define the uh, the function, and it then uh, sorry, let me share again. Yeah, so that's the power of that function calling, which will automatically identify the year and the month and the product description. So we saw like how we define a function and how to use that function for a SEP in an LLM. So if you, yeah, this is the one. So this is like a simple example where we define a function called get current time, and then using that function we are automatically using LLM to give us the parameter based on the user query. So here the user has asked what's the current time in San Francisco. So when we provide the tool and the function description, it tells us the argument for the location, which is San Francisco, and then we utilize that location to call the function and pass that into the message or thread over in AI Foundry in the context, and we generate the final response which tells you the current time in San Francisco is 9:24 a.m. So similarly, for the Contoso agent, they have created a function which we had seen, which writes an SQL query based on the data model and then uses that as a tool. Yeah. So yeah, that's all, and these are the references which I have taken to create these. So AI agent beginners is a quick is a must if you wanna deep dive and know more about agents. Then for the Contoso sales agent repo, this is the repo which you can use to deploy the app which we just saw in the demo in the Azure environment. Then there is this repo which will also tell you more about how to use this sales agent, and then the season of agents where we have different references or slides to get started with agents. So this is the feedback form. You can scan the QR code and talk about the feedback. If you guys have any questions, you can write it in the chat. I'll be happy to answer that and call it off. Do we have any questions? Okay, thank you. Thank you guys.
Okay, thank you so much, Om sir, for your insightful session today. And
Thank you.
thanks to all the attendees for who joined us for this exciting season of agent session. Now, everyone, it's your time to discover, build, and shape the future together. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you, Umsa, for the session.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.